This video is in association with VisionCon 26. Come to the Branson Convention Center February 24th through the 26th and meet Brian Muir, the sculptor credited with the creation of the infamous Darth Vader, as well as many other credits through film and television. Links in the description below. Welcome to the second new series on my channel entitled What Is. In this series, we will take a well-known fandom and explain what it is, how it came to be, and the legacy that it holds. In this first episode, we will be talking about one of the grandfathers of sci-fi, the Star Wars. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Frank Wack. You can subscribe to me here while I tell you exactly what is Star Wars. Wait, nope. We're not doing this cliche opening, just let's get on with it. Star Wars is a galactic space opera set a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Created and directed by George Lucas in 1977 with the first part of his original trilogy, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Yes, Episode 4 was the first movie to release in the theaters. After the release of Lucas's second film, American Graffiti, Lucas began to work on the film he had wanted to make from the very beginning, with an emphasis on becoming an independent director. Having been influenced by many wholesome, adventurous, and often romantic movies on TV, as well as the Flash Gordon cinema serial series, George was dead set on creating a science fiction marvel that was unlike anything we had ever seen before, starring Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca, Sir Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Ben Kenobi, David Prowse as Darth Vader with James Earl Jones providing voice work, and the late Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia. Many believed this movie would be unsuccessful due to its lack of star power and its fantasy theme. With the premise of retelling a classic story in a new way, Star Wars wins by separating the gray area and made the good guys good and the bad guys bad. Following the influence of Joseph Campbell's novel A Hero's Journey, Star Wars tells the story of a simple person being taken from humble beginnings and thrusted into greatness.
I got him! Great hit! Don't get cocky!
Now that we've defined what Star Wars is, let's take a look at how it all came together with a short telling of Star Wars history. After American Graffiti came out in 1973, Lucas began to write a new script for a new kind of audience. A story that didn't derive from real-life perspectives, but instead was founded on wholesome values of storytelling and a basic religious concept to drive everything.
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
After 2 years, his work was complete, but there was a problem. The original script for the Star Wars was well over 200 pages and would have been a 7-hour movie. To make it shorter in length, George turned the one large script into a trilogy of stories that all connected like the 3 stages of a traditional play, a move barely done in cinema before. After being denied by Universal Studios, who had helped him create his other 2 films, Lucas finally struck a deal with 20th Century Fox. It was a low-budget contract, only about $11 million to create the whole feature, but all George cared about was to make sure the rights to the sequel stayed with him. The idea was that if the first movie succeeded, he'd be able to make the next 2 films however he felt, and if it didn't succeed, he'd still be able to create the sequels on his own. The 4 years of creation was vastly covered in the writing and rewriting of the central story of the Star Wars. After 10 weeks of filming and a few months of post-production, what would be known to us as Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, released in theaters on May 25th, 1977. It was a knockout in the box office, earning $775 million worldwide, becoming the highest-grossing film of all time, surpassing Jaws and held that title until the release of E.T. the Extraterrestrial. The film has been reissued many times with many different changes, including modified computer-generated effects, altered dialogue, re-edited shorts, a remixed soundtrack, and added scenes. The Star Wars would inevitably change the way movies were made, and the effects that were used paved the way for the future of the industry that we are still seeing nearly 40 years later. Star Wars earned 10 nominations at the Academy Awards and won 6 of them, including Best Art Design, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, Best Sound, and Best Visual Effects. Other nominations went to Alec Guinness for Best Supporting Role, and to George Lucas himself for Best Original Screenplay, Best Director, and Best Motion Picture. But even more important than the awards is the impact it had on fandom and the convention community. It's pretty easy to say that without the Star Wars, we wouldn't have a community or a circuit of conventions in our local area. Its 40-year legacy has stood the test of time and stayed in the hearts of many through our entire lives, myself included. The legacy of Star Wars is so important it's become the first episode of the series by way of saying thank you. So thank you to George, Mark, Harrison, Alec, Carrie, and the rest of the people who made the Star Wars a fandom to remember. Now that you know what the Star Wars is, you can click the eye icon in the top right corner and vote on what you'd like to see as the next topic for the next episode of What Is. Don't forget to check out the description below to find the link to check out VisionCon 26 and pre-register to save a bit of money and hassle for the premier Branson Comic-Con. But, as always, I am Frank Wack. If you liked this video, give it a share and a subscribe to my channel, or stick around to check out some new videos.